lot of people actually will tell you that they think motivation is BS, but to be completely honest with you, I think action is truly what inspires the motivation. What is going on, my friends? Welcome back to another episode. Wow, that was a really hard emphasis on back. But another episode of the Morning Takeaway, aka Inside Influence Podcast, the Inside Influence Podcast. I need to really just do away with the Morning Takeaway, although those will be solo episodes, and then the Inside Influence will be the brand and the whole altogether, right? I think that's something I could end up putting on merch and stuff. Anyways, welcome back, and today I want to talk to you just a little bit on one of the comments I got on YouTube. I was going through my comments this morning. You'll see this in about 2 weeks, but it was on my full morning routine, my 4:30 a.m. morning routine video, and it had to do something, nothing bad. It had to do something with how do I motivate myself. And I thought that was an interesting question to bring to a short little podcast and just kind of answer it a little bit more in depth, because that's a question that I get all the time. And I don't want to put the wrong message out there that I'm always motivated. And I'm always like, now, I will say probably 99% of the time, I have that kind of discipline. I think discipline is a better word for motivated. And a lot of people actually will tell you that they think motivation is BS. But to be completely honest with you, I think motivation comes from a source of when an opportunity meets timing, and then you just have to prepare. I think when the opportunity meets the timing, and then you feel prepared in that moment, then that creates that motivation to act. And then put it all together, action is truly what inspires the motivation and the momentum and the progress, right? And it's all stuff that I talk about all the time, but that's not exactly how I answered the question. I just wanted to go on that little rant before we got into it. So I'm going to read you the comment itself, and I know Jamie will be listening, and I love it. That is totally fine. But I wanted to address it and then kind of give you a little bit more in depth. And also the freaking love that has been going on YouTube. In the past 12 days, I've gained over 20,000 subscribers, and I cannot say thank you enough. I don't know if you listen to these podcasts. I know there's a select few that listen to them every single time they come out, through and through, and I appreciate that, and that is why I do it. I do it for any little bit and nugget that you might be able to apply and have an impact on your life or somebody else's, and if you share it with somebody, right? As I always say, if somebody could get on a microphone and a camera and change my life or give me a little bit of motivation, then I hope that I could be able to do the same thing for at least one person. And that's truly my goal in life every single day, is one person impact. Even if it's a smile. If I'm having the worst day of my life and I can smile at somebody at the gym and feel that sense of like maybe that hit them, I don't know, that's fulfilling to me. So anyways, enough with the sappiness for you, and we'll get into it right here. And just wanted to say thank you for all the recent support, especially on these vlogs and workouts and the podcast, obviously, which I'm really excited about the podcast to the future plans. All right, I'm done talking. Not done talking, but I'm done ranting on that topic. All right, so here we go. Jamie says, yep, the discipline message hits hard. What type of mental reinforcement do you employ to tackle those moments you feel unmotivated? To which I responded, honestly, in those moments, I just ask myself, which voice are you going to let win? And that kind of kicks me into that mindset of doing the uncomfortable to grow. So what does that mean? Now, I'm actually reading a book called The Untethered Soul. I'm only like 50 pages in, but it's absolutely blowing my mind. And it kind of has to do with this idea of that voice and who you are at the center of your conscious self, and being aware that you are aware. And I think that's essentially what inspires me to get motivated when I feel the least motivated. When I'm in my bathroom at 4:15 contemplating if I want to go back to bed, and that voice comes in and says, because that is demotivation in its fullest, right? We all know that feeling where you want to hit the snooze button, and as soon as you just get on your feet, it's go time. And I think in those moments when I ask myself, like, hey, which voice are you going to let win? You're able to kind of channel this energy into something a little greater than you. And whether that's your deepest sense of self and kind of this like spiritual connection of like, what are you going to do to apply yourself and get a little better? Because movement is energy, right? Movement and momentum and taking action creates all kinds of benefits. Whether it's good, whether the outcome is good or bad, you can learn from both outcomes, right? If it's good, great, we learned. We saw what we could do and we can move on and go for it. If it was bad, even better, right? Then you can learn from your mistakes and then continue on. And that's kind of a getting down a different rabbit hole, but I think the idea of channeling that voice in those times of demotivation, or I don't feel like doing this, or I don't feel like eating healthy, or it's just comes back to what standard are you going to hold yourself to? And if you value that standard, let's say you're trying to lose 100 pounds, if you value the standard of waking up and doing every possible thing you can under your control to lose that 100 pounds over a given amount of time, what voice are you going to listen to? Because the truth is, and as blatant as it is, that one huge bag of Doritos that you go for and just crush at one time is going to do way more detriment than the amount of progress you make over a week of eating clean. And that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but those kinds of decisions all play a part. And it comes back to, in that moment, what voice are you going to choose? Now, again, a little extreme, but the idea is still there, right? It remains the same. And don't get me wrong, there are times to cheat. There are times to refeed your body with crappy carbohydrates, whatever. Like, and that's getting into another podcast as well, whether you're an endurance athlete, you're crazy fasted all the time and eating high fat, high protein, low carbs like I do, and then you have your crazy carb days and kind of a refeed. But that said, even in those moments, there's moderation, and there's a voice in your head that says to stick to the decisions that voice that you want to win places upon you, right? Because when you do that, you're still conscious of you're still conscious of keeping that momentum rolling so that you can continue to be motivated. I think. I lost my train of thought right there. But when you start to gain that momentum, you feel more and more motivated. You feel more and more this, that, and the other. And I guess if there's anything you take away, it's kind of like on those days that you don't feel like working out, but then you go in and you just go through the motions and you just do it anyways, you usually get back in that car and you are on top of the world. Sometimes it's even the best workout you've ever had. You get back in the car and you are like, oh my gosh, I'm so pumped that I just did that for myself. I knocked it out, it's over with now, and I can keep going. You weren't very motivated, you could have gotten back in your car, but it kind of goes back to that same idea of, is the pain of discipline worth more than the pain of regret? And wow, that is really how to sum up motivation in my lens of life. And I think that's a good place to come to a stopping point, because I can't harp enough on that idea of not wanting to go to the gym or not wanting to do something, then you do it. You procrastinate something at work and then you finally get it done, and it just feels like the freaking world is off of your shoulders, right? It feels so clear. You feel like you can move on. You don't feel like you always have this pressing weight on your brain of just like hovering over you, like, oh, I still got to do that. Oh, I'll get to it, right? Just do it. Just take action, right? And then you'll feel motivated to do other things. So that's enough of me rambling on today. That's I wanted to address that because I thought that was a great question. And again, I appreciate you guys commenting on all my posts. As you see, usually within the first 24 hours of me posting a video, I will always respond to those comments. And I truly appreciate whatever comments do roll in, especially on these podcasts, the perspectives that are welcomed and stay open. Like if there's something that's going to challenge what I'm talking about, I love to talk about that stuff. And that's also part of the reason why I want to get somebody else on the podcast and transition that way to having more and more guests, because a dialogue between two people is a little more interesting than me just blabbing at the lens of a camera, right? Not that it's just blabbing, but you get the picture. So I am going to end this thing just like we usually do with a random question generator. Here we are. Here we go. What's the story behind one of your scars? It's a pretty good one. You can't see it, but I have a scar right here under my eyebrow that I was playing tackle football in my dad's apartment when I was like 7, and like in the little living room, moved the coffee table off to the side. Sure enough, that table corner was just right there for my eyeball to rupture. So I hit my head on the corner, and my dad had to walk to 7-Eleven to get me some butterfly stitches. Turns out I should have had actual stitches, but we just didn't go that route. Another scar I have is on my leg. I was on my way to a extreme bike ride at a family camp. Got a little too extreme myself. Completely ate it. We were in the middle of nowhere. Ended up going to get like 8 stitches in my thigh. You've probably seen it before, actually, on Instagram and stuff. But anyways, I won't bore you with my scar stories. That's I guess if you want to ask, I can tell you those stories. I don't know. All right, this is awkward. We're going to wrap this thing up. I appreciate you watching. Don't forget to like this video, comment your thoughts, give me some questions, something to go back and forth. I'd be happy to talk with you. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and I will see you next time on the Inside Influence podcast. I appreciate you. Have an awesome freaking day, and don't forget to smile.